Hey guys, and welcome to another video critique. This video critique is for your Week 5 Assignment 3, which is the HDR assignment. And this time we're going to be looking at Julie's work, at Becky's work, and at Jesse's work. So let's see how you did with the HDR stuff. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time with these. Just looking at your different exposures that you did, because if you didn't do the various exposures that you combine together correctly, you're not going to get the full HDR. One of the easiest ways to do that is to simply look at the numbers. So if you know your f-stops and shutter speeds, then this should be pretty much straightforward. And I've been doing this long enough that I do just have them in my memory. So basically, with 5 stops like this, you want to have your darkest or your lowest exposure to your highest exposure a difference of about 4 stops. So let's see, the lowest one here is, okay, first of all, she did this right, Julie did this right. Kept the aperture the same through all of them. It's f7.1 the whole way. And then let's look at the shutter speed. So 1 320th, 1 250th, 1 200th, 1 160th, and 1 125th. So right off the bat, I can tell that your total range here is not a lot. 125th to 250th is about 1 stop, so you have just over 1 stop between your darkest image and your lightest image. So yeah, it looks like you're maybe doing about a third of a stop, about a quarter of a stop, I guess, because you're going. Yeah, up by quarter, up by 2/4. I don't know, about a third, because you get it's 1 stop from here to here. So yeah, with a 5-image HDR merge, you want to have each one be a full stop above that. Now, what I find has happened in situations like this is usually people are clicking through with their thumb wheel, thinking that each click is a full stop, when it's actually usually either half or a third of a stop. So let's see how this ended up. Oh, the other thing is, yeah, you do want to start, and you pretty much started there. It's, your correct image is kind of right in the middle, right? So you start underexposed and you go to overexposed. You just didn't do it by a big enough increment. And then what we have here is, you definitely are getting some of that effect simply by having 5 exposures that you combine, even if they're not necessarily that much different from each other. You have extended your dynamic range more than what a single digital image can capture. You just don't have the full, 4 stops between your darkest and your lightest. Excuse me, and that's just 4 stops of difference in exposure. Plus you have to factor in that each exposure itself has, 5 stops within it. So, that's how you end up with the whatever, I always forget if it's like around 12 or 14 stops of dynamic range that you can get within your image. Is that you have the 5 that are in each one, and then you have that range from, your 2 stops under to your 2 stops over. It ends up being, between 12 and 14 stops. So hopefully I'm not getting too technical or jargony on you with this, but I thought that this was good. I would say I do think that the black and white version is the most successful version out of the 3. Yeah, I do think. The split tone is not a ton different. It looks like maybe a little bit more sort of cyan in there. I do like this. I would maybe have slightly shifted the composition to kind of to sort of move this up and over and have this um, stream kind of more stretching from side to side, the part that we can see. Um, but yeah, I thought there was a lot of good stuff going on in this one, Julie. Um, so up next, let's look at Becky's and see what she has for us. Now, Becky's is definitely, it's a little bit on the dark side here. And so she didn't put down her exposure number, so we can't exactly tell, but it looks like a lot of these are, they're similar. You maybe have like a half stop difference between, like, say, here and here, and then probably another half stop between that and that. So I'm not actually sure what happened there. I don't know if we're doing some sort of auto bracket or maybe adjusting without having it fully on manual. But let's see how this actually looks as an image. This is, yeah, much lighter in exposure than any of the things that we saw for the HDR merge, which makes me think that you probably just took the brightest one from before and sort of opened the levels on that. But yeah, it's definitely nice as an image. It certainly has a pretty good tonal range here. All these flowers are nice. They're all, the purple part is all sort of nicely surrounded by and given contrast by those white edges of the flower. Let's just see what she did for the other. Alright, this is also nice, although it definitely, you definitely lose that, sort of the thing that makes the flower part stand out. It does just look like some sort of smaller leaves that are on there. You don't get that same sense of colorful flower. I think I like the color version on this one, just because I do like that blue. This is really nice, but I think you do need the color contrast. This is also nice because these are complementary colors in photography, green and it's more of a magenta really than a purple like this, but they're fairly close to being complementary colors, meaning that they're opposite on the color wheel, so they tend to go together well. So anyway, thank you, Becky. And then last but not least, let's check out Jesse's images here. I can, there it is, okay. And yeah, okay, so on these we have a pretty good range in terms of darkest to lightest. I definitely say that we have 4 stops. However, it looks like your brightest exposure, your highest exposure, is actually your the proper exposure. So like all of your images are either the correct exposure or under. To the point where like this one could easily be like 4 stops under. It's really dark. But you don't have like you don't have a 2 stop over or 1 stop over. It's correct exposure and then dark, darker, really dark. So you're definitely going to get some of that dynamic range, but not as much as like a true 4-stop HDR image. And here's the original. I'm going to go ahead and actually make it bigger. So for whatever reason, that got really small. Alright, so here's that, and then you have this sort of split tone, and wasn't there another? Yeah, okay. So I actually liked the black and white one quite a bit. Now you do have some tonal range here. I would even say some extended tonal range. Again, probably not as much as you potentially could have, but some really nice, certainly in the darker areas where you got that sort of boost in dynamic range from your lower exposure things. But also, in kind of the I mean, in some of this too, like, there is pretty much all the way across, you do get a difference in exposure between the lightest of your highlights and the background. So you can still pretty much distinguish it there. You always want, again, you always do want to have a little bit of room there, even if it's just a tiny bit of value that sets that apart. But yeah, you do a lot of nice detail in here and in through here. I would say, what is, oh, this is another, like a tinted one here. Saturation and contrast. I would say, Jesse, that in your original, you probably need to adjust your white balance a little bit on this guy. Being dusk like this, it is, it's definitely got a lot of blue, and I think you could get rid of a significant amount of that. Like, it's got a very strong blue color cast, which makes sense with the time of day that it was. There is a lot of blue in there, but I feel like if you change your white balance, you could sort of neutralize some of that, still have that sort of blue color cast that you get at dusk, but not to the point where it feels like it's this much. But yeah, I definitely would say, oops, a little bit of lag there. I would definitely say that your black and white is the strongest image, and it does emphasize sort of the smoke from this, what I assume is a house fire or something here. It makes it look really dramatic. I'm actually going to increase this just by one click so we can really see what that looks like. And yeah, so that is the critique. I thought you guys all had some nice stuff going on in your images, and yeah. So this is a part of the critique where I'm going to give you the word to post to let me know that you watched the entire video, and the word to post this time, it's actually 2 words: candy cigarette. I used to have them all the time when I was a kid. You don't really see them anymore. But yes, there's also a very famous image by the photographer Sally Mann of one of her daughters smoking a candy cigarette. It's a very neat image, very cool image, also somewhat controversial, provocative. So yeah, Sally, if you're curious about the image, just Google Sally Mann. That's Mann, M-A-N-N. And yeah, check out that image. It's even called candy cigarette. But anyway, the 2 words to post are candy cigarette, and that will let me know that you watched the whole thing. Alright, I will see you again shortly with another video. Until then, keep shooting.